Welcome to the BEC podcast. My name is Rasmus Beck, and today I'm honored with a guest of Danish men's singles, a legend. So someone would say at least he's the guy who secured the Thomas Cup title for Denmark 4 years ago, more or less 4 years ago. Hans-Kristian Vittinghus, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Hans-Kristian, the Thomas Cup, we'll come back to that later for sure, because that's a big thing, and especially in 2020, it's going to be a big thing. But Hans-Kristian, how would you describe the situation for you right now, actually?
Well, I'm not 100% satisfied with the results I've produced this year. I'm a little bit down in the rankings as well. I think I'm down to 28 right now, which is far from my best, and also far from I feel like my level when I play my best. Where I belong when I play my best. I would like to get back into top 20, top 15 in that range, and I still feel I'm capable of that. But looking back at this year for me, I think I've played really well in a lot of matches and a lot of tournaments. I've had some bad draws. I've played Kento Momota quite a few times, and I'm sure everyone will agree that he's a tough nut to crack. Mm-hmm. I've been close, but haven't quite beaten him. And I've also had a bit of trouble putting together the pieces in more than one match at the time. And I'm obviously a little bit disappointed about that, but I'm also confident that I still have the level in me, and I think I'm showing that every now and then. I showed it again at the World Championships, where I had a close match with Cho from Taiwan. So I'm still confident, and I'm sure it's going to turn around with the results, but I'm also a little bit frustrated about the results so far.
But why is it so hard to find this consistency?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's a mixture of many things. I think, as I said, I've been a bit unlucky with the draws. It's not all of the explanation as to why it's going the way it is, but as soon as I started losing some early rounds and dropping down the rankings a little bit, for me it also adds a bit of pressure. I'm now close to getting out of top 32, which adds a lot of pressure, because I know that it's very difficult to get back in. If you're inside top 32, you get access to all the events, and because there's so many points in the big events, if you're in, it's easier to stay in than it is to get in from the outside. You've seen a lot of really good players who are just outside top 32, and they've been struggling for a long time now to get in. So that bit of added pressure and bad draws, and of course, just myself not performing well enough is the mix that has now resulted in this situation where I'm below where I would like to be in the rankings.
Living on the edge of top 32, looking at the system right now, is it fair, the system with the 32 players going to, for instance, 750 tournaments, and then number 33, 34, it's actually quite hard to take that step?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I don't think we should go back to qualifying in the biggest events, actually. What I do think you could change a little bit is how much you're going to allow the 32 best players to play other events. Of course, they need to play some other events than the 8 biggest ones, 750 and 1,000 events. But you need to somehow limit the number of 300 and 500 events that they play to give everyone outside of top 32 a better chance to gain valuable points so you can get into top 32. But I don't think the system is necessarily unfair. Everyone in top 32 has earned their spot there. And so it's a little easier for them to stay there, but they earned it. So I have the same chance as everyone else, and the guys outside of top 32 also has a chance.
But if we limit the numbers of tournaments that the top 32 players can actually play, it actually puts you under more pressure, because it also means that somebody can actually put more pressure on you coming from behind, and you're not allowed to actually go play too many 500 or 300 tournaments. So from your point of view, it might actually be a bad thing to put limitations in. Yeah,
maybe personally it would be a bad thing, but I'm also not saying that you should completely remove the possibility to play any of those events. You should have the chance to, of course, play some of them, but I don't think it's fair to anyone that you can stay inside top 32 by winning 1 or 2 matches every year if you just do it in the right events. I think the first round losers in the big events get too many points, and that includes myself. If you want to stay there, I think you should also perform, and you perform by winning matches, not only being close as I've been.
Of course, there's pressure from ranking, also being in the top 32, as you say, but the Olympic qualification, that's also one thing that can put some pressure on somebody for sure. Hans-Kristian, if I look at the Danish men's single situation right now, you guys have Anders Antonsen, you have Victor Axelsen, and then there's you, there's Rasmus Gemke, there's Janne Jørgensen. You have 5 top players, all, I assume, aiming for going to the Olympics. That must be a dream for all of you. How is it to be in that chase with these 4 other guys?
Yeah, well, you assume we are 5 guys chasing it, and that's the wrong assumption, actually. I'm not chasing it, to be honest. Of course, it's a dream to play the Olympics. I kind of buried that dream last time. And with the situation right now, I don't see how it's realistic at all that I should play. If I get back into top 16, which is the first goal that I need to reach to even have a chance, of course, I would love to go if the national coach selected me to play. But I'm struggling to see why they would pick me before Anders or Victor, who've proven that they can win at the highest stage. They've won gold and silver at the World Championships and ranked top 5 for a long period, both of them. So I've actually been pretty clear from the start of this Olympic qualifying period that I was not going to play extra events or try to put any extra focus on trying to qualify. I've agreed with my coach this year that my only focus is to enjoy the game as much as possible. With my life situation and everything, it's more important for me to enjoy whatever many years I have left. That's more important than trying to chase the Olympics by going to an extra tournament in Korea or India or wherever there's an extra event to play. If I make top 16 and if I qualify and I get selected, it's fine, but it's not something I'm chasing. I'm chasing to enjoy the game and to produce some results. And that's my only focus. I can honestly sit here and say that I'm not focused on the Olympics at all.
But are you enjoying them?
Yeah, I'm enjoying playing a lot. And I think even though my results has not been very good, I think a lot of my matches this year has shown that I'm actually enjoying the game, especially when I played against the best players in the world. I've had some brilliant matches against Cho, against Momota in both the Japan Open and German Open. So I think in many cases we've seen that I'm still playing at a very high level and enjoying and having fun when I play. Of course, I still have situations as well where I'm getting frustrated if my game is not going the way I want it to, or if I'm playing a bit poorly. But I think in general, you can say for this year, I've enjoyed being on court.
How is it to be that number 3 guy, knowing that if you, for instance, came from another country, you might actually have that Olympic spot. But since now you have Anders and Victor in this race, you have been here in this kind of race before where you were not the chosen one or you were not the one actually qualifying. How is it to be that number 3 for 5 guy?
Yeah, well, as you said, I had quite some experience in this situation. I've been top 16 in both the London qualifying period and the Rio qualifying. I know what it feels like, and it's like obviously I was disappointed the last 2 times that I didn't get selected, but I've also been very proud of what I've achieved, and I know that I would not have achieved what I have without the guys that we have in Brøndby in the national center sparring with me. So Anders and Victor and Jan and Peter Gade before them and Kenneth Jonassen, Gemke, they're all part of the reason why I'm at the level I'm at. These guys are also part of the reason why I got to win the Thomas Cup with them. So there's some advantages of being this many guys competing, but obviously sometimes it would also be nice to just be the best guy and get to go to the Olympics. But I actually feel kind of like I've lived the Olympic dream by going there twice as a commentator. I know it's not the same as playing, but I've been on court for the biggest event, World Championships, All England, Thomas Cup final, and so on. And when especially in Rio, when I got there and was a commentator and could see all the matches, and for me that was special, but it's still just badminton they play on the court. The rules are the same, the game is the same. And I got this whole Olympic feeling from being there. Obviously, it would be even nicer to be in court, but I don't feel like it's a missing piece in my puzzle to be satisfied or anything. So it's not like I'm in everyday life and in training, walking around and thinking it's annoying. We have these other guys that are really good. On the contrary, I think it's really nice that I can get into training, and even if Victor is injured, we still have Anders, who's a world-class player, who can beat me up and teach me how to get better. So I'm not really worried about it or disliking it. I think it's a big advantage. But I have joked with my wife a few times to change my citizenship to Norway. She's Norwegian, so that would maybe make it a little easier for me to go to the big events.
You need to hurry up then, yeah.
I need to hurry up, and everything that I will have to give up for Denmark, it's not really worth it. I think it's 95% of the time it's a big advantage. I'm in the situation I'm in.
But this commentary position that you had with Danish TV, is that actually doing that it's okay for you not to qualifying? Let's say you didn't have the commentator's job. Would that have changed some kind of thoughts for you think?
I think for sure it's made a difference. The London Games was a big experience, but the Rio Games was really huge for me. I had this all-access pass, so I also got to watch all the other sports. I think I went to 15 different sports to watch that. And I really felt like it was... like living an Olympic dream, and I could relate easily to all the athletes on court because, again, as I said, I didn't really feel like it was a different game. Obviously, the rules are the same, and it is still badminton, and it kind of just made it more like a more down to earth experience for me being there and seeing everything. And when I left there, and even before I arrived, I was actually at peace with not having qualified. And I think another thing that's also a factor in all of this is the fact that the last 2 Olympic qualifying periods, I didn't really enjoy that full year of qualifying. I think it was a lot of stress, a lot of focus on results only. To be honest, I didn't always hope for good results for my teammates, who are also my good friends, because from a personal point of view, it was bad for me if they did well. And in general, I don't like to be that way. I like to be happy for those guys when they win matches. A guy like Jan, who I've known for my entire life almost, I like him to do well. And it's more difficult in an Olympic qualifying period to actually hope for those kind of results. So that's also part of the reason why now I'm trying to get away from that kind of thinking and just focusing on enjoying my own game and having fun. And if they do well, it's also great for them.
You mentioned the Thomas Cup. You have been part of the Thomas Cup team for Denmark more than once. You played a key part in 2016, winning that final match. You start to smile already. It's not bad for this talk, I suppose. Hans-Kristian, you said being part of the team where you have strong guys, of course, also make you actually able to compete at the top level for men team. In 2020, there will be a Thomas Cup in Denmark. When you heard that the first time, what was your thought?
Just excitement. I think usually like Thomas Cup belongs in Asia because it's always been played there. But obviously Thomas Cup in Denmark, where I'm from, and with the history that we won it and we've been in the final so many times, I think it's the right time for it to move to Europe. And I'm extremely excited to have the chance to be part of the team. But I also know that it's going to be difficult to make the team because usually the way the Danish coaches do it is they select 4 men's singles guys and 6 men's doubles players. There are only 10 spots on the team. And as you already mentioned, we are 5 guys right now who are at a very high level in singles. There has been a few times where they've selected 5 singles, 5 doubles. So that opens up an extra opportunity. But it is going to be difficult to make the team. But it will be another dream coming true for me to play Thomas Cup at home. And if I do, then the goal is going to be to try and win again. That will be why we are going there.
Is that also adding pressure to you in the next 8 months from here?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I haven't really focused a lot on it yet. It's also still some time out in the future, and also with the history of the other 4 men's singles guys in Denmark, I know that injuries can also play a part. I think Thomas Cup last time in 18 in Bangkok, Thailand, showed us that we might actually need 5 singles guys. We had Anders Antonsen sick the entire week in Thailand, and that actually really hampered our chances of performing well, because we didn't have any possibilities to mix up the singles lineup. It was pretty clear how we had to play. So I think, at least if I was the national team coach, I would be considering using 5 guys for men's singles next time to give us a lot of opportunities of how to make the men's singles lineup. So I'm not so worried about it yet, but when we get a little bit closer, if my results are still only the 5th best of the men's singles, then I'm going to be a little bit worried, because I would really love to go.
But it's also fair to say 5 men's singles spot, I assume, because you actually right now in Denmark have a situation where you have 2 doubles playing on the top level, Kim and Anders and Mads and Matthias. But then you have Carsten Mogensen and Mads Conrad. Where are they actually right now? So I assume that also with the consideration that's the double situation right now.
Yeah, for sure. Our doubles department has been struggling a little bit lately, and are trying to really put it all together again. But as you say, there's still 8 months left. So there's still some time, and maybe they will start coming together, all of them, and then suddenly we have 3 pairs playing at a high level. So I think it's difficult to say right now what's going to happen, but I think for sure the coaches are considering also 5 men's singles as it is right now. And I really believe, even if I'm only the 5th best at the time, that I would have something to bring to the team, not only on court but also outside of court. And I think they would also consider that.
We speak from time to time, you and me, that's no secret. And I remember that once you told me that when you were going to be like not retiring but stepping down in level, you were actually also considering playing more like the European tournaments, to travel more within the continent. Is that still a consideration of yours?
Yeah, for sure. It's not something I'm going to do right now, because I'm still top 32. So I'm still getting access to the biggest events. And I think as long as I'm getting that, I should exploit that opportunity, because the points there are really big. And it is the biggest events. It's those events that I'm also dreaming of winning. And I think I'm still competitive at that level. But I'm not afraid of going down a level and play Super 100 or Challenge events. I think I've showed that before, and also played the Denmark Challenge in May and won that. I think I love the game so much that even if I don't play the biggest events, I still enjoy competing. And if I can still make a living of competing at a lot of challenge events and Super 100 or 300 events, then I don't see the reason why I wouldn't continue doing that. If I enjoy the game and I can make a living of it and make my family life work still, then I want to continue doing it as long as possible.
Yeah, you have a son back home, you have a wife, as you told. What kind of thoughts do you have now regarding your career, for instance, compared to 2.5 years ago when you didn't have your son?
Yeah, there's a huge difference. I really love to travel, but I don't enjoy the actual traveling as much as I did before. As soon as I lose in the tournaments, I'm more worried about getting home than actually staying a day or two to enjoy the city or the country or watch some matches. I'm really trying hard to avoid 3-week trips. I'm trying to maximum be away for 2 events in a row, because I also have a wife who's very serious ambitious about her own dressage career. So to make everything work also for her, it's a bit more difficult if I'm away longer periods of time. So there's all kinds of considerations now that we didn't really have before, where we were more free, so to speak, and didn't have any responsibilities in regard to a child. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It's the best thing that ever happened in my life, including winning Thomas Cup and everything. Getting a child is just
it beats nothing, does it?
No, it doesn't. It's an unmatched feeling. But yeah, of course, it gives some worries in my career, and it's also part of the reason why I say I would only continue this if I enjoyed it a lot, even if it was because I just made a lot of money, which I'm not. But even if it was that, it's not going to be that part that keeps me playing. It has to be the love of the game and the fact that I'm competitive and I can make it work. That will keep me playing.
You have been in this race for over a decade. Not many players actually do that. If you look at the men's singles situation right now and compare it to what you've seen during your career, how is the level in men's singles, do you think, actually right now? We have players like Momota, Victor Anders, you're still here, Lindan is still here, Lee Chong-wei was recently still here.
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm most proud about actually is the part that you just said, that I've been here I've been in the national center now for 14 years, and not a lot of guys do that, and I'm very proud of that achievement. I think looking over all these years I've competed, that right now the level at the top is maybe a little bit lower than it used to be. Like, of course, Momota is really, really good, and I think he's playing at the highest level we've ever seen. But in general, I think a lot more guys can win the events than they used to be. When you had Lindan, when you had Chong-wei, when you had Chen Long, Gaeta, and Taufik before that, when all these guys performed at the best, it was almost unthinkable that anyone else could win a big event. I don't have that feeling now, even with Momota there. I just read a statistics that he won 8 of the last 10 events he played in, which is obviously extremely good. But before that, I still felt like really anyone could win a World Tour event. So I think the depth is very high. I think almost anyone who's in the main draw of these events actually has a chance of making a final. But I think at the top we saw more dominance prior to the period we're in right now. And even guys like Victor and Anders who you talk about, I think they're more inconsistent compared to Chen Long and Lindan, Chong-wei used to be. But you also see it with Chen Long now. He cannot keep the same consistency. He lost a lot of first and second rounds, which to me is rather surprising actually. But I think it says a little bit about the depth in men's singles. I think that's very high.
You said that Momota is playing at the highest level we have ever seen. So you actually mean that Momota now played better than the young Lindan Long?
For sure.
Why?
I'm not even doubting that for 1 second. Why? Because I've played them all and I played them at their prime. And maybe it's just recency bias where you remember what happened lately the best, but I feel like when I see him play and when I play him, that the shot quality that he delivers is unreal and out of this world, and it's unmatched in any way. It's not taking anything away from the other guys 5-10 years back. For me, it's just natural that the game is evolving, and the young guys are getting inspired by the older guys, and I hope in 10 or 15 years time there's going to be some other guys that are playing even better than Momota are now, and I think that's for sure going to happen. Maybe not in 10 years time, but then 15 or 20 years. So for me, it's a natural evolvement of the game, and it's a sign that badminton is in a good development as well. So it's not to take anything away, but it's just my feeling from actually playing the guys. I felt in 2017 when Victor won the World Championships, I said before the championships to Kenneth Jonassen in training that this guy is the best I've ever played against. He played on an unreal level, and he also won the World Championships. But I also remember playing Lindan in French Open in around 27 or 2008 maybe, where I also had this feeling that he really just beat me up badly. But when I look at it on video and everything, I still think the quality now, also from my side, is better. So the level is just getting higher and higher, and I think that's the explanation why.
We still see Lindan on court. He's getting older and older. The level of his has for sure not been increased the last 2-3 years. What do you think from a badminton fan point of view when you see that Lindan is actually entering tournaments, he's playing, and you see him walking on court and play? Are you still happy to see Lindan play, or is it like maybe you should just call it a day?
I'm very happy to see him play. I see no reason why he should quit. Some people will say that he needs to think about the legacy that he leaves behind and how people remember him, but I don't really see why he should care. He says he's playing because he enjoys the game, and if he does that, then I really don't see why he should stop playing. He's not world number one anymore, and he's not winning the World Championships or the Olympics next year probably. But he did win the Malaysia Open in April this year. He's still ranked maybe 15 in the world. If that's not good enough for everyone, then fair enough. But you should try and do that yourself. It's still not easy. So I'm impressed that he's still playing at the level, and I'm very impressed that he still has the motivation and the eagerness to still play, because he achieved everything. He won all the events, but he still thinks it's fun and he likes the challenge of playing against all the young guys. So I hope he will continue to play as long as he enjoys it. And I think it's also a natural answer for me, because as I told you before, I want to continue even if I have to play challenge events. It doesn't matter for me what the level is. I just enjoy the game and love badminton, and I'm sure it's the same for Lindan. So I just actually get even more respect for him from what he's doing, and I don't really give a beep about the legacy he leaves behind. I think it's a crazy legacy that he leaves behind, even though his level is not the same anymore.
I don't think you can compare much to that legacy.
No.
But Hans-Kristian, one day it will come to an end, this one. On court, at least. Yeah. We have seen you being part of the political life in badminton. We have seen you also coaching on club level. We also see you coaching on national level when you travel without coach. Where will we find you when the career is over?
I think for sure we will find me somewhere in the world of badminton. At least I hope so. I am in general a sport maniac, so I've always said that I would like to work within the field of sports, but I also feel like it would be a bit of waste of my skills and talent to not work in badminton. I know it's not an education where you get a degree or anything, but I feel like now 28 years of play badminton is also some sort of education within badminton. I've tried to combine it with studying sports and event management. So I have a clear plan that I want to be working inside the sports. Also, as I said, I love the sport so much that who wouldn't want to work with something they love every day. I would like to coach in some way. I'm not sure I would like to be a national team coach that's traveling as much as the coaches are right now. That's mostly due to my family life. I would like to be home a bit more than I am at the moment. But maybe if I'm home for a few years, then I would like to start traveling a bit more again. So I'm not closing the door in that chapter either. I just know that I want to coach at some level and in some capacity, and I want to be within the sport. So exactly where it takes me, I can't really say yet. It also depends on the doors that will open for me when I decide, okay, now it's time to retire. And I'm not really there yet. There have been some small openings here and there, and actually some job offers as well. But I'm not ready to take those yet.
What about combining playing and coaching? Because we also seen that before.
Yeah, that's also a possibility for sure. Especially if I go a level down and start playing more challenges and not really focus on the big events anymore. I think it's a clear possibility to do some coaching and playing. Maybe even play some more league matches in the European leagues or even the Asian leagues. So try to make a living of the sport that way. That's for sure also something on my mind. But it's only in the back of my head, because I'm still focused on trying to become a better player, and I'm hoping that I will play many years still. There's a World Championships in Denmark in 2023, I think. I know
It's 4 years from now.
Yeah, it's 4 years from now, but yeah, why not go for it if it's possible? Then why not? Lindan is. Did he turn 37 yesterday?
I think he did,
yeah. So if he can do it, then why should I not take inspiration from that and try to do the same?
I hear you talking coaching. You're not talking political badminton life. What's the reason behind that?
Well, I like to make a difference in the political world as well, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm cut out for doing that as my living. I'm not much for closing the door on that opportunity either, but it's not where my dreams are right now, and but it could be exciting to be part of the BWF board or the Badminton Europe board even, or Badminton Denmark board.
Or all of it.
All of it, yeah. But it is a very different life compared to actually being on court as a coach or director of sports or whatever. I would still like to have more contact with the actual on-field jobs, but some of the things, if you want them to be changed, you need to do it at political level, and I still have a lot of dreams and hopes for the sport for the future that I would like to see being implemented.
What is the biggest dream?
There's a lot to choose from, but my biggest biggest dream is to see a sport that's more individually based, where we are not so focused on national federations. So we see all the Chinese players, all the Indonesian players, all the Danish players, everyone being more individualized. So everything doesn't have to go from the BWF to the national federation and then from them to the players. So the contact is more between the BWF and the players directly. I think it would solve quite a few issues that we've seen in badminton over the years, where some teams see it more as a team sport than an individual sport. I know it's a big change, and I'm not sure the sport is really ready for it yet. We've taken some small steps to get closer and closer, and I see it moving in the right direction, but we are still some years away from it being implemented fully. But I'm pretty sure that for the sport in the long run it will be a good thing, but it needs to happen in the right tempo.
But there will also be sacrifices during that, won't there? For instance, if you take some of the categories that are able to earn a lot of money, now I'm thinking about men's singles, maybe women's doubles players will have a harder time actually making a living. So there might be sacrifices too.
For sure, and with every big change there comes some sacrifices as well. But I believe it will be better for the sport in the long run, and that actually leads me to one of the other dreams that I have, that I would love to see badminton split into a men's tour and a women's tour.
What about the mixed doubles then?
Yeah, then you could play that at the big events, just like in tennis, where you play it in the Grand Slam events. I'm sure there's a lot of people that's going to disagree about that because they love mixed doubles, or they think the doubles disciplines are exactly the same as singles, and that's absolutely fine. Some people also criticize me when I said it, that I'm only saying that because I don't want to share the prize money that the men get with the women, and it's nothing like that. I actually think it would be a big advantage also for the women to have their own tour, because right now in women's singles, for example, we are in the middle of a golden age. The 10 best women's singles players we have, they play at an outrageous level, and they are extremely marketable. So I think it would not be an issue for them to actually have their own tour and start promoting themselves even better. And I think from being a mixed tour now, we actually steal some of the focus from each other. There's too many players, there's too many matches. The days in the events are too long because of all these matches. So it's increasingly difficult for TV stations, for media to actually focus on the single matches. We have final days at events that are up to 8 hours long. No one, apart from the biggest nerds like myself, are actually going to sit down and watch badminton for 8 hours straight. So I think it would be a really huge advantage for everyone, both the women and the men, if we got to split it up at some point. Again, I'm not sure if we are ready for it yet, but I would really like for that to happen in the future, and I think it would benefit the sport a lot.
I think we'll let that be the final word of this podcast. Hans-Kristian, thank you very much for stopping by. Always interesting,
Thank you.
also to get some perspective. And good luck making it to the Danish team at the Thomas Cup. Fingers crossed. And also thank you to you guys for watching. Stay with us on Badminton Europe, and we will for sure bring a podcast to you in the near future.